Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, March 24th, 2012. This is episode 859. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Big Commerce. From web design and accounting to marketing, Big Commerce provides everything you need to run a successful online business. For a limited time, get 2 months free to build your store. Go to bigcommerce.com, click on that little radio tower there, and type in my promo code LEO. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about technology, computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to call with a question, a comment, a suggestion, a complaint. 8888 Ask Leo. I would love to hear from you if you've got some questions about the iPad, for instance, the iPad that shall remain nameless, the new iPad, the iPad 3. What do you think? You've had a week with it? What do you think? 8888 Ask Leo is the number. We can also talk about all these new phones that are coming out. Some pretty spectacular Android phones going to give Apple a run for the money. And you know, they haven't said, oh, peep, not a word about iPhone 5. What do you think's going on there? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are we waiting till September? Is that the new release date for Apple? They don't say, you know, they don't. The first iPhone came out in June 2007, right? Second iPhone came out roughly the same time. Third iPhone, the 3GS, came out roughly the same time. The iPhone 4 came out roughly the same time, and then nothing. It got quiet. And then we finally got an iPhone 4S last September. So I guess it makes sense. We probably wouldn't get a new iPhone so quickly because all the people who bought one would probably, flip out. They'd say, wait a minute, I just got one, what was it, 8 months ago? Remember, I think part of the problem, of course, is in the U.S., and this isn't true worldwide, but in the U.S., we have a 2-year term when we sign up for a phone. We're committed to that phone for 2 years, and if we want to get one in between time, it won't be subsidized or won't be subsidized as much. So Apple's aware of that. They have kind of what we call a tick-tock rhythm to their releases. The iPhone 4 was a major change, major upgrade. And then the iPhone 4S, just kind of a minor upgrade, which it makes sense because the iPhone 4 was a big upgrade for anybody who had an iPhone 3. The 4S for anybody who had a 3GS, 2 years later. So here comes whatever the next iPhone's called. I'll call it the 5, although, Apple's kind of always seems to surprise us with naming. Whatever this, I'll call it the iPhone 5 is. I suspect iPhone 5 in September. What will it be? It will probably be well, we don't know, do we? Because Apple doesn't say. I'm thinking it'll be a design change from previous designs. They're due for that. Some say, I've heard some rumors that it would be a bigger screen, maybe a 4.3-inch screen. That's the latest rumor. Current iPhone 3.5-inch screen starting to look tiny compared to the bigger screens. And in fact, Samsung's making some real hay with this Galaxy Note. They're apparently selling it quite well. This is the 5-inch screen. And I've seen ads and billboards for it everywhere. It's kind of a phone tablet, a tablet phone. And it's actually the phone I carry and I love. But of course, somebody pointed out, Leo, you must be a little blind because you like big phones, big screens, big computers. It's true. I just think that it's easier to use. Maybe some people like smaller stuff. Yeah. So it's a really interesting position because Apple has got to keep up with the times. At the same time, they have pointed out that all of these different kinds of Android phones fragment the market and confuse consumers. So they, are you confused, by the way? I'm just out of curiosity. 8888 ask Leo. I'd love to hear. Are you a little confused? Because I don't think consumers are that confused. I think consumers like choice. I think maybe it's developers that are confused. Oh, it could be the people who write the software. Are you confused if you're a developer? Does it confuse you? No, I don't think it does. But Apple has made a lot of, well, we make one and everybody knows, and this is what you're developing for. And it's the iPhone 4 or the iPhone 4S. There are two resolutions in the iPhone. There's a Retina display and a regular display. Now there's two resolutions in the iPad. So I think fragmentation is in Apple's future. And I don't think they can keep putting out a 3.5-inch phone. I think they're going to have to make it bigger. The only question is how much bigger. And will they get in trouble because will it look more like a Samsung phone? Will Samsung then countersue them? Because Apple sued Samsung saying, your phones look just like iPhones. You stole our idea. iPhone 4XL. Von X in our chat room says. That's what it'll be called, the 4XL. Programmer size. What do you think? 8888 ask Leo. The chat room is easily accessed from our webpage, techguylabs.com. Please don't laugh at my page. It's been that way since 2004. That's a long time in the world of the web. 4 years? 8 years? 8 years. And we're going to fix it. We're fixing it right now. I hired a great company called Lullabot, the web design firm that did the MTV Europe, the Grammy Awards, Martha Stewart's site. They're redoing our site so it'll look modern and behave more modern because one of the things that's missing on this site, you could find what you want, but one of the things that's missing on this site is the ability to kind of interact with me. And so we're really going to add some interactive features, so commenting and stuff. And it will be, as is everything I do, including the podcast, the video streams, free. I know some radio hosts like to charge for access. I'm not going to do that. I appreciate your presence here. So if you go to techguylabs.com and click the chat link, you'll get the TWiT IRC. That stands for Internet Relay Chat. That's the old form of chat, the good old days. You could also use an IRC client. Do change your nickname. They give you a generic nickname. Give yourself something so we know who you are. It doesn't have to be your real name, but just something so we know your personality, who you are. It says something about you. I get tired of saying Web 1301 says in the chat room. But once you're in the chat, it's really great to have you, and that's a good way to give me some feedback. It's also a good way if you come into the chat to get some clarification and to meet some fun people. Well, heavily moderated, so it's safe for kids. And I do apologize. I know sometimes people chafe at the rules, but those rules are there because, as you know, if the internet, if not carefully monitored, can get a little out of hand. I think the chat room's so much fun. Live video, show notes, everything at techguylabs.com. Also, a link to the phone number in case I say it too fast, and I know I do. That's 8888 Ask Leo. Think of 2 piano keyboards, 88 keys, and then Ask Leo. Why are there 2 pianos? 8888 Ask Leo. That's 888-827-5536. That's the phone number if you want to call and talk about it. I'd love to hear about your thoughts about what the new iPhone might bring. It's all speculation. Nobody's saying. Nobody knows. There's not even any rumors. The rumor mill on the new iPad was pretty good this time around. It nailed everything except the name. So, but no rumors at all about the new iPhone, which means to me it's a little ways off still. 8888 Ask Leo. You could talk about coffee too, because I think geeks like to talk about coffee. I just got a shipment of something he calls the black blood of the earth. This is a guy. He's a nuclear radiation specialist in Berkeley, California, at the Lawrence Livermore Labs, and he makes a coffee extract that is so potent. He says each bottle of this is the equivalent of a month and a half of Starbucks venti lattes. So I'm just going to try a little bit of this, and if I seem a little hyped up, that'll be why. Because I'm drinking the black blood of the earth. G. Byers in the chat room says, "No, Leo, don't drink it. It looks lethal." I don't know. It does look a little. It comes in. Well, I got a sampler. It comes in some sort of medical Vial. So coffee is also on the table because caffeine is beloved by geeks everywhere. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to call. Get me my great stein of science I'm about to load up here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll be right back with more of the tech guy in just a bit, but I got to tell you about BigCommerce.com. From web design to accounting to marketing. Look, I bet you've had an idea that you thought would be really big online. Something, Mick the Wick in our chat room, he makes candles. I bet you Mick has thought, golly, if I could just get a site to sell my candles, I bet I could make some money on the internet. If your company isn't yet generating sales through an online store, you're missing a huge opportunity. And that's where BigCommerce is so cool. They, from soup to nuts, they set up the website, they help you, they got design, they'll do all the accounting, they'll do the marketing for you, the SEO. They'll do people I think sometimes think BigCommerce.com, it's a shopping cart. I did until I saw what they're doing, and it's so much more. And here's the really cool thing. They're going to give you 2 months free to build your own fully functional store, no cost to you, and see how it works. So if you've had this idea, if only I would say any idea in 2 months you should be able to tell if there's some merit in this, if you could sell some stuff or not. Maybe it would be black blood of the earth. This coffee. Who knows? Whatever it is that you could do that's unique, BigCommerce powers over 20,000 stores. You can sell it on eBay. You could sell it on Facebook. You could sell on iPhones. They support mobile. And they do it all for you. You just collect the money. You got to like this. 2 months free to try your big idea with BigCommerce.com. So here's what you do. Go to BigCommerce.com. See this thing where it says, it's got the radio antenna. Hear about us on the radio. Click that radio antenna. Actually, or podcast. And we're the podcast. And then use Leo as the offer code. And then click try now. That's it. And you've got 60 days free. You don't even need a credit card. I'm telling you, this is what the promise of the internet is. This is the promise of the internet, that you can really create a business. There are people, many, many people on BigCommerce who have gone from 9-to-5 jobs to their own business online. You get lots of help with SEO, with marketing, great design, free setup, free support, drag and drop, and it costs you nothing. You'll probably be selling by tonight. And read the testimonials, because these are people who are actually using BigCommerce. The nice rack. I don't know what he's selling. I'm not sure I want to know. The 52 Wants You. The Peaceful Pirate. Neuro Formulas. The Blue Ribbon Bakery. These are all people using BigCommerce. BigCommerce.com. Try it free. You don't need a credit card. Just the offer code Leo. Click that antenna and fill it in. We have set up our store with BigCommerce, and you'll see it soon. Our TWiT T-shirt store. You can be the judge. Liz did it while she was bouncing on a ball. That's how easy it is. We might, we're going to try all different kinds of things. I don't know what we're going to end up selling. We got T-shirts right now, but who knows? Who knows?
Sorry, Leo, I didn't have it in program too for you.
Yeah. Wow.
Chemistry again, pour it up, mix it.
Herr Director von Ranium has sent me, and it's not cheap, by the way, Black Blood of the Earth coffee, and so I'm just trying to decide which vial I should consume. Each is a unique. This is Ethiopian Kona. Oh, I'll do the Kona blend to start. But now I have to give you instructions. Igor, my assistant, you need some instructions. Do not pour the entire vial into the glass. Just as he says, 100 milliliters at a time. Did you bring a pipette? No. All right, there might be some pipettes in the cabinet. 8888 ask Leo. I swear, I tell you, I am excited about the caffeination process, which is about to commence. But I do warn you, I might be a little buzzy. I'm wait. Actually, you know what, Kyle, in the control room, you're gonna have to give me my first call because I was so excited. I was so consumed with excitement over this Stein of Science and the coffee that I neglected to bring up my call screening apparatus.
No problem. Tom in Atlanta.
Let's start, according to Kyle, with Tom in Atlanta. Tom, good day. Leo Laporte, the caffeinated tech guy.
Oh, heck yeah. Happy to have your coffee.
I've already had my regular coffee. This is a special coffee extract. I don't know. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, well, you get the more caffeine out of it, the
caffeine,
better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had a cup of Kenyan this morning.
Ah, well, I have some Kenyan here, but I was thinking of doing the Kona blend. There's also a Malabar in Ethiopia, and a Sumatra. So,
yeah, I like my coffees, but
Kenya's very good. Yeah, I've had Kenyan.
The Costa Rican pea berry is probably my favorite.
Yes, interesting. You see, we could do. I've always thought, and there's been some demand for a show about coffee. I was thinking maybe to broaden the reach, we do coffee and chocolate.
That would work.
No complaints.
I'd be all for that. I'd Skype in and talk about it.
Yeah, why not? All right. Well, what can I do? What can I do for you on a more prosaic note in your technology?
First of all, I called in about a little over a year ago and asked you some questions about software for broadcasting. You told me Wirecast and cameras for doing podcasts, and I chose the Logitech 9000. I wanted to thank you for that.
And have you been doing a show? Have you been doing a show?
Oh yeah, I'm doing very well. Actually, that's why I'm calling to ask about a third-party solution for. I host the videos on my website.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that. That'll start costing. Tell me what the website is.
HQARadio.com.
And what's the topic?
Ham radio.
Awesome. All right, let me. Oh, look at this. You know, I said there's a number now of ham radio podcasts that I could take credit for. I think, and I think
I was doing audio first about a year and a half ago.
That's fantastic.
And I had a couple guests on, and then I decided to go video. And
well, thank you for the plug for our show too, by the way, for Ham Nation. So I'll give you this one back. And then we had the guy from Amateur Radio Weekly on last week. So I tell you, this is fantastic. So you do this live on Sundays?
Yeah, I have a live show. It's called the Sunday Live Show, which we talk about different topics.
Yeah.
And then I have a tape show, a couple tape shows, which is Amateur Radio Weekly and the Digital Modes Today, which I'm starting up this week.
Oh, that's so great. You know, there's something about, I think, hams that they're the original geeks, and so they have jumped on this bandwagon with both feet, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, actually, you talked to Gary at Ham Radio Now.
That's who it was, Ham Radio Now. Yeah. So you're looking to. So you were actually hosting the audio and video yourself.
Yeah, I'm hosting it on my website. Yeah,
yeah, that costs money, doesn't it? As you grow.
Not yet, but I know they're going to say, "Hey, something's going on here.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this."
If you're lucky, it costs you money.
Yeah.
If people start listening, and that is something that is a little different about internet broadcasting versus radio or television broadcasting. In fact, we shouldn't call it broadcasting. I'm not sure what we should call it, but netcasting is what I call it, and I like that because it's got a double meaning. You're casting a net, but you're also casting on the internet. So yeah, that's why I kind of prefer that name. So here's the deal, and you know this, Tom, and that's why you're calling, but I'll explain to others. With a radio station like the one you're listening to, all the money's up front. You build a tower, you get a license from the FCC, you build a facility, you hire staff, you broadcast. Now, if one person listens or a million people listen, it doesn't cost you any more. Your power bill doesn't go up, nothing. So your goal is to get 1 million listeners because you've already spent the money. So the more you get, the better. Now, it's completely different in, let's say, the magazine industry because you have to print the magazines, and that's as time's gone by, that's gotten more and more expensive. because the paper and the inks are expensive. The truck to deliver it and all of that is expensive. The shipping, the mailing. So with magazines, you have to very carefully control your circulation. You don't want a magazine to have 1 million readers just like that. You can't support it. You grow magazines, you grow slowly. Podcasts very similar. Everybody who listens costs you a little bit. Fortunately, it's not a lot, and if you do this intelligently, it may be nothing at all. So you want to do live streaming, or you what are you looking to get hosted?
Well, I do live streaming right now through Ustream, and that's working out very well.
Yeah, Ustream's free.
The thing is, but the thing is, what I heard is that you can have there's sites like Google may have this service, and a couple other people that they buffer your website like for videos. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying, well, I'll give you an example. Perhaps this is what you're thinking of. If you do a Google Plus Hangout, you can apply for a special kind, and I have it. I don't know how you get it. Broadcaster status, where you'll do it live, and you can have up to 8 other people in there, and it's kind of even better than Ustream because you can have other people. It makes it very easy, and if you have this broadcaster status, it will be saved to YouTube as you broadcast. And when you're done, you press end broadcast. It's immediately available on YouTube for people to watch. But YouTube has a missing piece.
I'm familiar.
You're familiar,
with that.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is like something like more on the order of like MediaFly or something like that, where they actually host most of the videos and then rebroadcast it out for you. Like if somebody came to my website and clicked on it, and say they're in a certain part of the country, instead of it coming from my website, it would come from their servers.
That's called a CDN.
Okay.
Content distribution network. And we had a little guy, I think he was like 16 in here, a couple of weeks ago, who has his own podcast, and he uses something called blip.tv, and he says it works great. So blip.tv, I've used this before. The original kind of selling point on Blip TV was you would upload your video there. You still have to upload it, okay, after it's done. You'd upload your video there, and they would distribute it to YouTube, Vimeo, all of the different platforms. But they apparently also do hosting, and they make it possible for people to subscribe to your show and download it just like a video podcast, and no bandwidth cost to you.
Okay.
Which sounds to me like what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my suggestion, Tom. And good luck with the podcast. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson is here. He's our home theater wizard. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Leo, on the really big shoe.
On the really big shoe. Oh, look out here in the audience. It's got Scott Wilkinson. He's the online editor of the Home Theater magazine at hometheater.com, and joins us every week to talk home theater. And
always a pleasure.
And you don't drink coffee, do you?
I don't. No,
Yeah.
I'm in the distinct minority in the world.
Yeah.
But out of all the chemicals in all the world, I really don't like what caffeine does to me. So
Yeah,
I don't drink it.
I don't like that buzziness. But this coffee is cold extracted with a vacuum. And so apparently they say there's no acid. None of the acids of the bean are extracted, just the delicious sweet caffeine and the oils. We shall see.
The essence.
So let's talk home theater. I don't want to get distracted by coffee talk.
Let's not get distracted by coffee.
Let's not get distracted.
No, that's all right.
So what's the latest in your world, Scott?
Well, I've been getting a couple of interesting emails in response to my latest poll, which I put up, which was, how far away do you sit from your video display? We've talked about this before.
Well, and I got a problem because I am now set it's so far away that my 55-inch screen is smaller than my iPad if it were at arm's length. So I need a bigger TV, or maybe I even need a projection TV. How do I know?
Well, I gave you a formula in my latest poll because I wanted people to, the distance you sit from the screen depends on the size of the screen.
Yes.
The larger the screen, the farther you can sit away. The smaller it is, the closer you have to sit.
And what you're trying to accomplish, right? Because, I mean, for years we sat 12 feet away from a 20-inch screen and we thought that was good.
Yeah, exactly right. And, of course, our mothers all said, don't sit too close to the screen, you'll go blind.
Right.
But there is a formula. Now, it depends. It's based upon what kind of angle the screen makes with your head at the vertex.
In other words, how wide it is.
How wide is it in your field of view?
Do you want it to fill your field of view like if you're sitting in the front row at a movie theater, so you have to look left and right to see what's on the screen? That would be the insane maximum. Or do you want it to be the size of a 20-inch screen at the end of your bed? Right. So
there's a formula. There is a medium. Yes. You want it to fill your field of view, but not so much that you have to look right and left to see the edges of the screen.
How wide would that be?
Well, SMPTE recommends a minimum angle of view of 30 degrees.
Well, that's not very much. Let me think.
Well, it's okay. THX recommends a maximum angle of field of view of 40 degrees.
Maximum?
Now, maximum. And they say you could be a little less.
Where's my protractor? I got to figure out what that is. How do I know what that is?
Okay. There's a very easy way to do it. You take your screen size, which is always specified in diagonal inches, right? So you got 50-inch TV.
Yeah.
It's very deceptive. I agree. But that's how they do it because you get a bigger number that way.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I take 55 in my case.
Take 55.
Yep.
If you want the SMPTE angle, 30 degrees, you multiply that by 1.6.
Okay.
And if you want and that'll give you your viewing distance to get a viewing angle of 30 degrees.
So 88 inches. I guess it's in inches, right?
It is. It would be in inches, correct. So 55 times 1.6.
7.3 feet. That's pretty close. And that's
closer than you think.
That's for the 30 degrees.
Correct. If you want the 40 degrees, you multiply it by 1.2.
Oh, man.
Which is really, really close.
That's 5.5 feet for a 55-inch screen. So clearly, when I'm at 15 or 20 feet away, I'm getting 10 degrees or some ridiculous thing.
Exactly.
40 doesn't sound that wide, but I guess it is, huh?
The point is, these are the numbers you want if you want a fully immersive experience,
right?
Like going to the movie theater and sitting at the right distance. I mean, not in the front row, of course, but sitting half to 2/3 of the way back in a commercial
bring
theater.
your protractor to the theater the next time you're at the theater, and sit where you like to sit, and then measure how the angle. What would you have to do that off your nose? I guess.
Yes, off your nose.
Put the protractor on your nose, and then look at how wide the angle is.
Yep.
You can't see me, but I've got my fingers on my nose, and I'm spreading them apart. And you want that to be 30 to 40. I mean, somewhere between 30, not more than 40, not less than 30.
Yeah, that's right. Normally, when I go to the commercial movie theater, I sit about 2/3 of the way back. Usually, these theaters these days have these great raked auditoriums, right? So you can sit 2/3 of the way back and not have your field of view obscured by the person in front of you. Because
I find there's a direct correlation between the age of the audience and how close they sit. The younger they are, the closer they sit. And you can tell how old we're getting by how far back in the theater we've moved.
Each year we move a little farther back, a little farther back. One could almost
except for the really young people who are sitting in the back row to make out. That's another thing. They're not looking at the movie.
That's another thing altogether. Yes, exactly right. Now, a couple people have written me about this topic and said, well, if I'm going to sit that close to my TV...
I ain't going to sit that close. I'm going to get a bigger TV.
There you go. But they're wondering about speakers. They're saying, well, if I've got a 50-inch TV and I'm going to sit 5 feet away... how can I have regular-sized speakers? I better have near-field monitors. Well, there is something to be said for that. If you're
just turn it up. It's depressing. Even if I get a 70-inch TV, see, this is why this is undoable. Yeah. At the SMPTE, the lower of the two, I can only sit 9.3 feet away.
Yep.
Nobody sits that close to their TV.
That's not true. Well, if you look at the poll, you'll see the solution. The choices on the poll are: I sit less than 1.2 times the screen diagonal away, which aren't very many. I sit between 1.2 and 1.6 times the screen diagonal away, and that's the moderate one. But by far, the majority of responses are: I sit more than 1.6 times the screen distance away.
Nobody's really getting that home theater experience.
Very few.
Yeah.
Very few. Now, I have a 60-inch, and I sit 8 feet away, which is the 30 degrees.
That's good.
Which is exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But you're a trained professional.
But you can try this at home.
Yeah, this won't hurt you.
This won't hurt you.
No. And Mom was wrong. You could sit closer. It's okay.
You can, absolutely. Now, in the old days, the CRT TVs probably did give off some radiation,
right?
Electromagnetic, not nuclear,
right?
Not nuclear radiation, but some electromagnetic radiation. And if you sat right up against the screen, that might be a bit of a problem. Plasmas might give you that same thing too.
I need to buy a protractor. I'm not kidding, because I have no idea. I mean, 90 degrees is right angle, right? So
correct.
We're not talking that huge an angle. It's half of 90 degrees, right?
That's right. That's less
or less. We're not talking a huge angle here.
No, that's right. But it's the angle that will fill your field of view, so you can take in the entire scene, the entire picture,
and it'll feel like you're there.
And feel like you're there. Exactly right. So really, my poll question was more as an educational thing. I wanted to gather data too, to find and it's coming out exactly as I expected, which is most people sit farther away than this optimum. And it makes more sense when you're talking about a 42-inch TV. My God, a 42-inch TV, you'd want to sit 4.2 to 5.6 feet away.
Mom really would get mad. Yeah. Scott Wilkinson, take his poll at hometheater.com. He's our home theater geek. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Wet paint, wet paint, wet paint. Red and green and yellow too, purple, pink and baby blue. Wet paint,
wet paint,
wet paint. You pour it in a bucket.
Why are we talking wet paint?
You mush it all around.
Because that's the best way to get a giant screen. Just paint your wall. Now I got a project. So we were just looking. You get the screen goo, and so you want the screen big enough. One way to do it is a projector TV. It'd be a lot less expensive than buying a 103-inch television. But you need a special screen. So there's this paint called screen goo. For $260, you can paint a 130-inch screen on your wall, and even have a black border around it. That's pretty good. And then you get the projector. And Scott says there's some good projectors. Next week we'll talk to Scott about projectors, because we don't talk about it very much. We talk about plasma and LCD, LED TVs, but we don't talk about projectors. He said he just reviewed a good one at hometheater.com from Mitsubishi for as little as $1,500. You'd have to darken the room, of course, but boy, that's one solution. Fill the room. That's a little tempting, huh? That's a little tempting. Paul is in California. Our next caller, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Paul.
Hi, how you doing, Leo?
I am well. How are you, sir?
Hey, I have to thank you. You have changed my digital life.
Wow, what did I do to deserve that?
Nod 32 and Carbonite.
Excellent. Two very good sponsors of the show and great products. Good. Well, I'm glad you like it.
I had a hard disk, the 500-gigabyte hard disk, a little over 6 months old, went out. I would have lost everything.
Oh, it's the worst feeling, isn't it? But it's not such a bad feeling when you have a backup. You feel like, well, at least I'm covered.
Yeah, I'm the guy that called you 6 months ago. I built my dream gaming machine.
And, how's that been for you?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Good.
I'm having trouble with my laptop.
Okay.
I'm a truck driver.
Yep.
And I'm out 5 days a week. And it will read CDs, but it won't read DVDs. It's Asus K50 series.
It used to read DVDs?
Oh, yes. No problem.
So you used to be able to watch movies. What happens now when you put a movie in there?
It comes up and says, my media says no DVD in the drive.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I try another player, it says wrong format.
What do you mean try another player?
Well, I've got another player on. I've got another DVD player software on also.
Oh, you mean software? I get it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the CDs are working, the DVDs are not. So
right.
Are these commercial DVDs or DVDs you've burnt?
No, they're commercial. They're commercial movies.
Yeah. The CD and DVD are different lasers.
Oh, are they? Okay,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I wanted to find out.
Yeah. So I suspect that what's happened is that the CD laser is working, but not the DVD laser.
Okay, and I've already looked it up and I can get a new drive for $69. So.
Oh, that's the good news. It's easy to, as long as it's easy to
myself,
swap. That's the really good news.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what's happening.
I
It could be knocked out of alignment, but they're two different lasers, and so that makes sense that one might work and one might not work.
Oh, okay. I have one other issue, if that's okay.
Sure.
It's just something I'd like your opinion on. I'd like to set up a gigabyte internet connection. I've read on the net that with a standard DSL connection, it's iffy as to whether you can get full gigabyte out of it.
You mean a gigabit network? Is that what you're trying to do?
Right. That's what I wanted
your
to
internet access won't be a gigabit. The cost of a gigabit's internet access is prohibitive, obviously.
Right,
So your
right.
internet access is whatever it is, 6 megabits, 7 megabits, 8 megabits. But you want a gigabit network so that internally you can move stuff around very quickly on your LAN.
Between my laptop and my desktop. Yeah.
So as long as you have a gigabit switch, it could be the router. Do you have a DSL modem with a router in it?
Yes.
Yeah, so treat that. What you need to do is go out and get a gigabit switch. Remember, of course, Wi-Fi can't be this fast. Only the wired internet will be this fast.
Right.
But if you go out, D-Link makes them. I think they're probably the best. Gigabit switch, and you'll attach the DSL modem to that switch. That'll be 100 at best, 100 megabit. But your switch will be transferring data at gigabit between devices that support a gigabit, which is, most modern devices can go that fast. Remember, in the early days of Ethernet, we had what we called 10 base T. That meant it traveled at 10 million bits per second at max. And really, the truth is, that's the nominal speed. The normal speed is usually about half to 60%. Right. So let's say 6 megabits. Then we got to 100 megabit Ethernet. Remember that? And you'd upgraded your cable probably at that point to Cat 5e because Cat 5, the old cable, probably couldn't do it. And now we got gigabit. Cat 5e will probably, that's the other thing, by the way, you're going to get better Ethernet cabling. You're going to at least get Cat 5e or Cat 6 cables for that gigabit to make sure it's reliable.
Okay, good. Yeah, my first, I started with a IBM XP.
Oh, my. Yeah.
My first computer was a VIC-20.
Yes, that one immediately moved to the closet for many people because it was cheap. But hey, at least it got you started. Nice to talk to you, Paul. Yeah, having gigabit in the house is very nice. It's funny when years ago when we talked about this, people would say, "I'm building a new house. What should I do?" And I would say, "Oh, you got to put Cat 5e in the walls everywhere. Make sure you got an Ethernet connection in every room." And then Wi-Fi kind of came along, and nobody needed it at all because Wi-Fi for most people is fast enough. But if you're moving large files, and obviously Paul's got videos and stuff, he's moving large files around, it is nice to have gigabit Ethernet. A Cat 5e cable, make sure you get a Cat 5e cable. And if you're going more than, say, 100 feet, you probably want to get Cat 6 cable. It gets pretty expensive. But that cabling is shielded and allows you to send it for a longer distance. And almost everything now, when you buy a new computer, a new laptop, almost everything supports gigabit. That's nice to have. It is. Pete in San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Pete.
Hi. Hey, we have a question. I have an iMac, but my wife still lives in the dark ages using a PC. And she has a Windows 7 operating system, and the Explorer keeps going and saying it wants to upgrade to Explorer 9.
Yeah.
She's not comfortable with that because she's used to Explorer 8. What happens if we don't do the upgrade?
Nothing. I would. Eventually, you want to do the upgrade because these upgrades have a lot to do with security. But if she doesn't want to, 8 is fine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones and camcorders, MP3 players and home theater. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. If you just want to talk high tech, that's what I'm here for. 8888 Ask Leo. Just before the break, and we ran out of time, so I didn't get a whole lot of time to talk about it. Caller asked, look, my wife doesn't like, or is nervous about upgrading from Internet Explorer 8 to Internet Explorer 9, but Windows keeps telling her she should upgrade. Do we have to? And it does look different. I'll acknowledge that. They've changed it, and get ready because Microsoft's really going to throw you a curve when we get to Windows 8 later this year, probably October. It really looks different. So if you're one of those people who doesn't like change, technology's probably not the right area for you. Those of us who embrace and love change, I'm bored easily. A lot of us are ADD in the tech sphere. We get bored so easily that the change is great. We go, oh yeah, what's new? I love that. And in fact, you'll notice that people get excited when there's an update to software. I got all excited because my phone had a firmware update today. It was like, oh, it's like Christmas. In this case, it seems exactly the same, which is a little disappointing. But I like new stuff. So what camp are you in? I would guess a lot of the people who listen to the show are always excited when there's an update to something. The new iPad's here. The new iPhone's here. The new firmware's here. The new Windows is here. The new Office is... Oh, it's exciting. But there are also those, and a great many, for whom this change is just a pain in the behind. Because, now you got to learn something new and how it works. And you just figured out how to use the old thing. And it's easy for geeks to forget that probably the vast majority of people don't want the change. How would you feel if every time we got a new car, you have to relearn where the pedals are? This time on the new Sunoco Ford, we've put the pedals on the gas pedal on the left and the brake on the right. Good luck. The pedal positions have not changed since the 20s, right? And probably a good thing. And yet, in the technology industry, we want to change all the time. And Internet Explorer 9 is one of those things. It's a completely simplified design, which will throw everybody who's learned how to use IE. It is absolutely true if you're using Internet Explorer 5 or 6 or even 7 that you should at least upgrade to 8 because these are much more reliable, much more secure. Microsoft's made a lot of changes under the hood to make it safer to use. I don't think you need to upgrade to 9 right away. It is annoying, and I think this is really the way it's going to be from now on, that Microsoft says, no, please, you got to upgrade. And the reason they do that is because in many cases, people don't upgrade. They use old versions of the browser. In fact, Microsoft has a whole site dedicated to getting people to stop using Internet Explorer 5.5 because it was so unreliable. So how do you stop these annoying requests? Well, I'm going to tell you how, but I should mention that there are reasons why Microsoft has added Internet Explorer 9 to its automatic updates. It does believe you'll be safer. And my encouragement would be to you and your wife, get used to it and see if you can, by the way, once you go to 9, you can't go back. So try to get used to it because there are some real advantages. If you have administrator rights on your computer, and anybody who owns their own computer does, it's sometimes in business they don't give you that. But if you have local administrator rights, you can block Internet Explorer with something Microsoft calls the Internet Explorer 9 Blocker Kit. Yes, they actually make a product. The Internet Explorer 9 Blocker Toolkit enables users to disable automatic delivery of Internet Explorer 9 as an important class update via automatic update features Windows Update. And this is intended for business because businesses often are slow to adopt new versions of the browser because they have some reliance in their own software on the features of the old browser. So if you Google or Bing Internet Explorer 9 Blocker Toolkit, you can get this. It'll turn off that it's a small little program, tiny little program. It'll turn off that request to upgrade. It'll just go away. If you're using XP, you're not going to get the option to go to 9. Don't worry about it. But if you're using Windows 7, you will get this warning. And there's a reason for it. So my strong encouragement is try 9 and just kind of get used to it. It's not so different that it'll just take a little while. There's a little pain. And I know some of us are adverse to change. But this is generally speaking a good thing to do to upgrade your browser. If you don't want to, Google or Bing Internet Explorer 9 Blocker Toolkit. You can download it. Can you roll? Now, somebody in the chat room said you can roll back if you go to IE9. You can go back to IE8. That's not typical. Usually, when you do a browser upgrade, they don't let you go back because it's so integrated into the operating system. But somebody in the chat room said you could. Yeah, all right. New Angel says yes, you can. So it's in the programs and features. You can add, remove, programs. If you go to programs and features, you can uninstall IE9 and go back to 8. Why don't you try it? Why don't you try it? And just because it would be better if you did. And then if you're really adamant, I don't want it, then here's 9 reasons to get IE9. There probably were 11 or 12, but they decided to be cuter to say 9 reasons. It's all around fast. This is from Microsoft. It's streamlined and simplified design. That's what she doesn't like. One-click access to your favorite sites. A combined search and address bar. I do like that. I hate the idea that, and the last browser standing to do this, I think, is Safari on the Apple side, where you have a Google search area and an area to enter in an address. They should both be the same. No reason to have 2 of those. Redesign new tab page. Integration with Windows 7. Snap, pin sites, jump lists, thumbnail preview controls. Improved add-on management. That, by the way, probably has something to do with security. Helps control your privacy. I have to say there are better privacy controls in 9. Keeps your downloads in order. Mostly, I think the reason to upgrade is just it's probably more secure. Daniel's our next caller in Los Angeles. Hi, Daniel. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Daniel from LA?
Yes, sir. It's your turn. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. It's quite a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Oh, absolutely. And I've had this wondering for quite a long time, and it's a question regarding home theater processors. And there's not a whole lot in the sub-$2,000 range.
Mostly that's because a good TV and a good AV receiver, Blu-ray player will have processors built in that do a good job. You want to add a processor to your existing system?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do. I'm planning on upgrading my home theater system. I've got some nice speakers, and I've been running them off an Onkyo 607 receiver for about 2 years now.
Yeah, that's a great receiver. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it sounds great, and it's been doing everything I've ever asked it to do. And I would like to upgrade to something a lot better. I'm going to. Oh,
when you say processor, you mean an AV receiver, not something to process the video signal, or do you?
Technically, yes.
Okay. Hang on, because this is a Scott Wilkinson. Let me see if I can raise him. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you gonna upgrade me? It's higher than #1. You know I used to beat that block. Now I bees the block. Let me upgrade.
The upgrade song, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The phone number 8888. Ask Leo. The website techguylabs.com. Daniel's obviously a videophile. He wants the best looking video. Has an Onkyo receiver. Looking to upgrade that. What kind of TV do you have, Daniel?
I have a Panasonic G25, and it's a 50-incher.
That's nice. You happy with it?
Oh, I've been very happy with it. To be honest, the only complaint that I have is I just wish I didn't have the 65. But you know what? At the time, the money expenses didn't quite agree with that.
Yeah.
But maybe in the future we'll see that.
We all want bigger TVs. This is a good plasma, very good high-quality plasma TV with a good video image. And you're using almost certainly the video processing, the DSP in the Viera that you have. And I would say that that's a very good video processor. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Generally speaking, people don't use standalone processors unless they're super video files. Maybe for your next TV, but
the biggest reason that I'm looking for something better, and it's not necessarily just in the video quality. I'm looking for something that can really improve the sound quality. Because I have some big tower speakers, and push nose with just an Onkyo 607. It does a pretty good job, but these towers are very power hungry.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to have the power, the full capability that they can express.
I am not an expert on this area, and I tried to get Scott Wilkinson back on the line, but he's probably just out there enjoying his Saturday afternoon, so he was not answering the call. We're going to get Scott back, though, and do a full day of home theater, and he will, I'm sure, have a review. In the meantime, what I would do is go to his site, hometheater.com. They have a review of a lot of different AV amps. And if you have speakers that need a lot of juice, you want to beef up your amp. He does, I know, like Onkyo, but there are a lot of other choices in the AV amp. And if you want one with more power, I'd certainly look at the reviews at hometheater.com. They tend to do more high-end stuff, although I know one of the reasons they did the redesign of the site is so that they include more real-world stuff as well. So there should be a pretty good choice there. I am not an expert, Daniel. I wish I could give you more direction. I just can't. And we'll get Scott, it just reminds me, we've got to get Scott on for a full day of home theater soon. Leslie in Laguna Niguel, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Leslie.
Good afternoon. Nice to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for your time. I am a salesperson looking for a software program to track sales.
Yes.
Not from, lead to close, but to actually track the project once it's happened through its production process, let's call it. And I've come across something called TrackVia. That's a cloud-based product, and I'm checking to see whether you know anything about it or have perhaps a better suggestion.
I haven't tried this. I'm looking at it right now. This looks pretty cool. It seems like you're going to take a lot. This is going to take a lot of effort on your part to customize it.
The interesting part for them is that they say as long as you purchase, kind of the second or I think it's the third level up, you get about 3 months of I don't know what they call him, a strategic...
A designer, basically.
Design person, right? Yeah.
So the advantage of using something that's kind of open-ended like this is it can be designed to exactly follow your workflow. And, of course, a general-purpose project manager may not. But the disadvantage is you got to do that. And that may be more than your you're not a programmer. It may be more than your expertise allows. It means you might have to get some help. It's nice that they offer you the first few months free, but...
Well, I think once it gets set up, because right now...
Once it gets set up, you don't have to do anything. That's right.
And so once it gets set up, I think it virtually should run itself.
Absolutely.
I'm hopeful.
So this is a common question, which is, should I write my own software or should I buy something off the shelf? And it really kind of depends on a couple of things. One, how complicated and unusual your process is. What kind of sales are you doing?
I sell promotional products.
Right.
So anything you want to put your logo on?
Yeah, actually. I should talk to you. So that's not an uncommon business. So I imagine there may even be some specialized software for it. Although I have to...
I've been looking. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I've been looking, and Excel has been my only answer thus far.
Yeah, and that's what this is really an alternative to. So you've got some elaborate spreadsheets you've designed that track the whole thing, but you have to maintain it. This is something a little bit more powerful and flexible. They'll give you some design help because what they want you to do is subscribe and pay a monthly fee, and it certainly might be worth it for you if it really helps your process.
we spend about 10 hours a week tracking stuff. And
yeah, so $100 a month, say, is not going to kill you. I mean, that's going to save you a lot of time.
Right.
So that may well be worth it. The issue is this upfront design, and you say they give you design help.
They give you 3 months of this designer person to help if you purchase a certain level,
right?
Above the professional level, which is going to end up to be $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 maybe.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
No, it's completely custom at that point. So
I am not. I can't tell you. I can't give you a review of this company, but this is a completely reasonable way to do business. I like the idea of having a custom workflow designed for you. If this is flexible enough to do it, this would probably be a good choice. I'll tell you what. Let's ask, because we have a big audience. Is anybody using TrackVia, TrackVia.com, for their workflow and project management? It looks like you could do a lot. If you're already building Excel spreadsheets or using macros, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're pretty sophisticated. I bet you could get a good start on this and then tweak it to fit your needs. The nice thing is it would exactly do what you want it to do, right?
That's my hope. Honestly,
Yeah.
I signed up for a 2-week free trial, and within about a dozen hours, I had a phone call from a salesperson saying that they realized I'd signed up and could they help me. He took my spreadsheet, imported it while I was on the phone, and tweaked several things right there to show me how it would work.
That's nice.
The customer service is super high end.
That's good.
I've searched to find someone who doesn't like it, and I can't find anything on the internet. I just find awesome reviews. And I'd like to know that's the answer, but I want to make sure, I wanted to kind of route out if there are any negatives.
Well, let me give you some alternatives that the chat room's suggesting. One is called Podio, Podio, very similar. Integrates with Google Docs, which is nice. I also we're using here something called Zoho, Zoho Office, and they have project management capabilities that also integrate with Google Docs. In other words, these things become Google Docs extensions. It doesn't sound like you're using that right now anyway. So
we don't.
Yeah,
no,
so that wouldn't necessarily be a selling point. It is for some people. So I would say take a look at Podio. I think Via is good. I would take a look at Zoho, Zoho. They have some significant features that I think are really good and are very customizable. There's 3, but I see nothing negative about TrackVia, and I will ask around. Sounds like it's a good choice. Thank you, Leslie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, we're getting some good suggestions from the chat room for other cloud-based service solutions for project management, sales management. It's a crowded category. Here's one called Skylight, skylightit.com, all-in-one productivity tool for projects, tasks, time billing, files, invoicing, contact management, and more. I guess this is CRM, customer relationship management plus project management. Here's one called Maven Link. I have to say, though, the TrackVia looked more flexible. That could be a pro and a con. Most of these other solutions are kind of pre-built. So there's a way they do things, and if if it works for you, it's probably easier to use an off-the-shelf solution. Even though these are cloud-based, they're on the internet, they looks like for the most part they're not highly customizable, whereas TrackVia looks like it's completely customized. You almost have to write a program to do your workflow. This is a big and growing area. The idea of using cloud-based software, so you're running it off the internet, to manage the workflow in your job, whether it's sales or in my case, we have a workflow where we take a radio show, turn it into a audio show for download, publicize it, promote it, social media, all of that stuff. And all of these solutions will give you some of those features, and something like TrackVia lets you add features, and presuming that it gives you a rich set of widgets and tools that you can program, if you're willing to put that time in up front, you'll get it at the other end. Lou, who works for Microsoft, I got to tell you, he says Microsoft CRM, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, is a very good solution as well, as I would expect, frankly, from Microsoft. Lots of good choices. And Audio Collective in the chat room has given me a spreadsheet with a great Google Doc spreadsheet with a list of 30 or so different companies that do this. Holy cow. We'll put a link to that in our show notes. Teambox, Patio, Product EV, MavenLink, Teamwork, Basecamp, Clarizen, Planbox, Work, etc., Deskaway, Liquid Planner, AtTask, Reich, Huddle, GoPlan, Project Turf, Action Method, Yammer, 5PM, Manymoon, Asana, Mango Apps, and Base. Holy cow! And that doesn't even include TrackVia. It looks like there's more being added all the time. How about that, huh? I'll put a link to that in the show notes. As New Angel says in our chat room, it's a whole industry I didn't even know existed. Yeah, it is. But if you're managing customers and projects for them, the ability to do this efficiently and effectively is important because it means you can handle more customers, make more money, and of course do a better job. Dave's in St. Louis. He's our next caller. Dave, welcome to the show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Hey, I just purchased an iPad 2 and got hooked up with iCloud, which is pretty nice. And I have an iPod Touch that I've been using for a long time prior to the iPad 2, and it's been fun and it's served its purpose. And I'd like to have it hooked up with iCloud so that I could sync all my applications and settings and stuff with the iPad.
Right.
But unfortunately, the iPod Touch is a second generation.
It's too old.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that. But,
well, it's not me that says it. It's Apple.
Or something.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a hack. I don't know. It's Apple that says it. Apple, will only update more recent devices to iOS 5. Whether that's a trick to get you to buy a new device or because that second-generation iPod Touch doesn't have enough horsepower is the question. Now, Apple will say, oh, no, it's just not capable of doing it. Others might say, well, what does it need, really? And we just, you have to do what Apple says. I have to say that there are people who, well, in our chat room, Knox Harrington says, even the third generation it doesn't run well on the third generation. And so this is often the case when they do these operating systems that they assume a certain amount of horsepower on the device, and they just won't let you upgrade on an older device because it just can't handle it. It might be unusably slow, Dave.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's stuck on 4.2.1 iOS. I guess you need 5 to have iCloud, right? So
I don't have an opinion because it could very well be pure marketing. I wouldn't put it past Apple to say, we want to get people to buy the new thing. So let's not upgrade the old thing. And it's their right to do it. I've done some geek searching to see if there's any way I can jailbreak and try and get an image of 5 on this device, and I don't think it's possible. No, I think not. Yeah. And this is the welcome to the Apple universe. It's their way or the highway, right?
Could you hook it up to iTunes though and do it manually? I mean, there's a way that you can put all your settings on a computer.
Well, that would be how you would do it.
Okay.
But iTunes is going to say sorry.
I'm still trying to learn that too.
Yeah, no, that's how you do it. You're going to have to either buy a new Touch or just live with it.
Yeah, because I've got some applications that I have on the iPad that I kind of want on the iTouch now too. So
right, some of those won't work. But yeah, if you hook it up to iTunes, you'll see all the applications don't have to support this, so the app has to support it. But you'll see at the bottom of the screen for the Touch, you'll see a list of apps that support syncing and the files that you can move onto and off the Touch via iTunes. So that's not the iCloud way to do it, but at least you can get stuff in and out.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Very good.
That's the old way, the old school. Now in the new school, they want you to do it in the cloud. And it really is, I have to say, it's a better way to do it. And I'm not going to necessarily assume that Apple is being greedy here. It seems very likely that it just doesn't have enough horsepower to do it. There is Web 4508 is saying in our chat room a custom ROM for the iPod Touch 2nd generation, but I don't recommend it, he says. So there's a hack, I guess. I think it just doesn't have enough horsepower. I think that's probably the case. Ryan in Indiana, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great, Ryan. How are you?
Good. I'm having some issues with the website.
Okay. Join the club, by the way. I got nothing but issues with my website.
Today, I get up and I go to my website and it won't work. I keep getting an error, but
that's a very bad feeling.
But my customers can go.
Oh, thank goodness! So it's just you.
Yeah, they can go. They can play my ad-supported game and everything, but I can't view the website at all on none of my computers.
Tell me what the website is. Let me see if I can get to it.
Fast5lotto.com.
Fast 5, the number 5, or spell it out?
Spell it out.
5lotto.com. Now, did you design this, or did somebody else do it, or what's the story?
This is a template. I coded the script that runs the game, but I used a template to put it in there. So
it's working on my site. At least I can pull it up.
Yeah, I cannot.
But when you go to fast5lotto.com, what do you get?
I get it says like I get one of those browser errors type. Yeah.
Did you recently put some security software on your system?
No, but I was in there last night trying to make some changes to the database and create a new system. And right after that, I went to bed and I woke up this morning and I can't access it. I tried to do like a...
I'm not sure what's going on. Let me take a look and see. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
The window at the darkness, the boredom overtook us, and he began to speak.
Well, you just got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him, know when to walk away. Leo Laporte, gambling's that easy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Great suggestion from the chat room. This is actually a very useful site. It's a little bit of a long name. downforeveryoneorjustme.com. We get this question a lot. People ask, is your site down? Is Google down? Is Twitter down? Actually, the easiest URL is isup.me. 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 And then you can enter in a site and see if it's working or not. So, because people often have problems with websites that are just localized. It's not working. It's not working. Is it just me? So you go to isup.me, enter the site, and if it says, no, it's working, then it's just you. Ryan in Indiana, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ryan. Oh, no, I was Ryan. Anyway, that's my suggestion, Ryan. Paul in L.A., Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Got a question regarding network attached storage. So when you use one of these, and should the device crash, especially if it's doing RAID, can you take the hard drive out and still access it?
Depends on the network attached storage device. So most of these are RAID 5, which is a form of RAID where you use multiple drives, usually 4 or more, for redundancy. And if one of those drives dies, yes, you can pop it out, continue to use the device, put in a new drive. The device will rebuild, in fact. You do want to do that. You don't want to continue to use it with fewer than its normal number of drives for very long because your redundancy is now gone, right? It can't recover a second drive failure. So if a drive fails on most RAID 5, all RAID 5 systems and most network-attached storage systems, it just depends on what you've got, you can pop the drive, put a new one in, have it rebuild, and you still have no downtime. There are network-attached storage devices, though, with 2 drives, for instance. Those won't do it.
Okay. Now, what about using something like Carbonite on it? Is that, because it's a network device, you can't use like the basic consumer.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't know if Carbonite will work on network-attached storage devices. I think they do have an external plan. There are other solutions, though, for network-attached storage. What you should first check is to see if the NAS that you have has its own software, a plugin for a backup solution. For instance, Jungle Disk is one that's commonly used. It backs up to Amazon's S3 storage. Many NAS drives have a Jungle Disk plugin, or you could put Jungle Disk on there. And what would happen then is it would just, as part of its process, restore or back up to an external. And it's a really good idea. It's a really good idea. Okay. Crash Plan is another service that does support NASs. But the first thing to do is see if the brand NAS you have has its own, system set up for it. QNAP, that's a good one that works with Amazon S3. So let me just explain briefly what he's talking about. A network-attached storage is an external, it looks like a hard drive. But what it is, in fact, is an entire separate computer that's on your network, but it's headless. It doesn't have its own monitor, keyboard, and mouse. You talk to it via a browser from another computer on the network. So it's kind of like your router, You open up your browser, you enter in the address of the network-attached storage, and now you're talking to it. What people use these for, they're often very large, is for backing up or for media storage. So you might put all your photos, music, and films or videos on that drive, and then that drive is visible to every other drive in the network. So it becomes a centralized point of storage. And one of the features many network-attached storage drives have is this RAID 5 capability. So if a drive fails, you don't lose any data. You just put in a new drive. Most of them are multiple drive, but not all. And the good ones will have some form of offsite backup. Now, I got to tell you, if it's a huge storage unit with terabytes of storage, offsite backup isn't always a very good idea. It's expensive to back up terabytes and takes time. Remember, you're using your own bandwidth. Most people don't have much upstream bandwidth compared to their downstream. So you could do the calculations. It might take years to back up a 10 terabyte drive array. It's not necessarily a practical thing to do online backup. I would only do online backup for stuff that is kind of smaller and you really don't want to lose. Pictures, music, I wouldn't worry about it. Use Google Music or iTunes Match or some other cloud-based music storage service. That's a better way to do it. Videos, I wouldn't back up unless, they're your own videos. And even then, as it gets big, it's just not practical to back it up over the internet. Much better to get this is what I do. For the really big stuff, I have 2 duplicate NAS devices. They're exactly configured the same. And every week or so, I take one to the office. So they're running all the time at home. They're always making a backup. And then I have an off-site storage, and it's many terabytes. I think it's 4 2-terabyte drives. So it's probably 6 terabytes of data. You don't want to back that up over the internet. It just takes too long. So yes, there are solutions to it. There are a number of ways to do that. However, consider how much data there is. Do some math. If you have a megabit up, that's maybe 100 megabytes a second. And if you have 6 terabytes to back up, that's 6 billion megabytes. Or what? 6 trillion. I'm sorry, 6 trillion megabytes. What is 6 trillion divided by 100? 6 billion. It's going to take you 6 billion seconds to back all of that up. I don't know how many seconds 6 billion is, but it's a lot. Too much, probably. But it's good to remember. I mean, you really wouldn't want to back up terabytes of data with anything. A gigabyte, sure, but terabytes, no. Because how much bandwidth do you have? It's using your upstream bandwidth. Most people do not have a lot of upstream bandwidth. Sometimes people have as little as 368 kilobits or 728 kilobits. That's going to take forever to back up terabytes. It's just not going to be practical. Kenneth in Los Angeles. Leo, you got a restaurant, huh? Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Actually, I own a tour company.
Okay.
And we're opening a big office in San Diego. We're expanding. We're also up here in LA, but we're expanding, and I wanted to create like a visitor center using some like digital signs in order to, offer our tours to people. I thought about using our website, but it seems like
you want a big screen in your office that's got basically a video live brochure in effect with pictures and video and you know, stuff like that. It's an ad, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to do that for, like, the window as the sign, but when people walk in, I want them to have maybe even 4 TVs.
All right, hold on. We got to take a break, but let's talk about it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, and all that jazz. In fact, coming up in about, I'd say 40 minutes, 47 after the hour, our gadget guru, the GizWiz, Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's Maddest writer with another wild and crazy gadget. Meanwhile, we've been talking to Kenneth in L.A. I love this idea. He's got, in fact, I would imagine everybody wants to do this. He's got a travel agency. He wants to have screens in the window that advertise services in a more multimedia way. But then you also, when people come in, you want to have them sit down with multiple screens. What do you imagine for the client once they come in the door?
Yeah, when the client walks in the door, there'll be a counter where we'll have a couple of our employees welcoming them, and like behind the counter, very similar to a restaurant, instead of ordering food, they could see the tours and tickets that we
what a good idea. Yeah. So
that way when prices change, we can just change it, or if we can have a special for that day, we could put it in there.
Yeah, you see it all the time now in restaurants. It's more and more common. We had a little tea shop over here. It was great. They would have the day's teas, and it was essentially an HD TV, big screen TV, attached to a computer. And anything that a computer can display on its screen, you can display on that big screen TV. And then it just requires a little customization. There's different ways to make a multimedia presentation that auto runs, as simple as PowerPoint, for instance. Should be something that you know, Kenneth, so that it's easy for you to maintain, because every day you're going to want to put new things in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only confusion that I had was there are companies that offer it. I didn't know if there was one particular one that you'd recommend.
It just depends. If you want to take the time to do it yourself, it's not a complicated thing to do. I don't know. There are, of course, a lot of companies that do this. This is huge. And I'll tell you what they're doing so you can decide if you want to do this yourself. They're getting a big screen TV with a PC interface. They're getting a small personal computer. And all personal computer operating systems have a kiosk mode now. That is, there's no user interface. It's just full screen. And then they're using a program. There are specialized programs, but the truth is PowerPoint would be just fine. Create a self-running Yeah, it's easy. Create a self-running PowerPoint presentation. And at the beginning of the day, you press play, and it just keeps going. It can have video in it. It can have animations in it. It could have just, almost a spreadsheet of menu items. It could have anything you want. It's very easy to do. Perfect. In fact, PowerPoint will cross-link to an Excel spreadsheet, so you could have the day's offers and prices in a spreadsheet, and PowerPoint just pull it in. You wouldn't even have to modify the PowerPoint. If you're
that sounds like a perfect idea.
I mean, there are lots of people. This is what they do. They don't tell you how they do it. That's how they do it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
Some of them use Macs. I think a Mac would probably have more lovely, look to it. But
I was thinking a Mac Mini.
That's exactly what I would do. It has
you do multiple screens off of that.
You sure can. You sure can. It has the new mini display port, which will drive several very large displays, I believe. Remember that the HD TV displays are in fact not as high resolution as a computer display.
I realize that.
Yeah. So you'll
doing it, and it looks sharp.
Yeah, of course. And I would use Keynote if you're going to use a Mac. Keynote to do exactly this.
That was my next question. And then I wanted to put a sign in the window. I made a movie that's like 6 minutes, and I realized on QuickTime I could loop it.
Exactly.
Is there a certain type of TV that you'd recommend actually putting in a window?
Well,
would it be LCD, LED? I don't.
LCD for sure. because LCD is going to be brighter. An LED, the truth is what you're trying to buy is the size.
Right.
And that's why I'm recommending HD TVs, because computer monitors don't come in, 65 or 70 inches. It depends on how much space you want. We have cheap LCDs. I think we bought them at Costco in our window here, and that you can see them perfectly well in daytime. So it's really just buy a screen as big as you need. You can get it at a big box store. You don't need to get a fancy one.
Yeah, I was going to go to either Costco, but then somebody told me Best Buy does like price matching even off the internet.
There you go. So and just get a cheap LCD. You don't have to get the top of the line. You don't have to get any features. You don't have to get smart apps or any of that, because you're not going to be watching TV on it. You're just playing this video over and over and over again.
Exactly. And I converted to Mac about a year ago, and so now I'm like an iMovie expert, and I make all these movies for my tours. So I put all these clips together in about a 6-minute movie that I thought would be great to just let it loop, and also use the Chiron, the different fonts in the Chiron in there to show the image, our company name, our phone number, and all that stuff. So
LG Electronics makes a special television for digital signage called the EZ Sign TV. LG EZSIGN TV, and it's a big screen TV with none of the capabilities of a real TV, so it's cheaper, right? It's for putting in the window, and they go all the way up to 55 inches.
And I just want to make you smile because I've got a son coming into the world in August, and we're naming him Leonardo, and of course we'll be calling him Leo.
Hey, congratulations.
So, his name is also a promo code on Apple website.
Yeah, he could go to school and say, hey, you want carbonite? I got a special deal.
Well, hopefully that makes you smile. We're real excited for him.
Oh, Kenneth, congratulations. Best thing I ever did, the hardest thing I ever did, but the best thing I ever did was have kids. You just all the best to you and your wife.
I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have
Kenneth.
a great day, Leo.
Take care. You too. The Easy Sign TV is designed for signage, so it has its own software built into it, using a PC. So this may not be his solution if he wants to use a Mac. But the idea is you have a PC, you run their Easy Sign software, and then you can transfer it using a USB flash drive. You plug the flash drive into the TV, and then it becomes a billboard. I think this is clever. You only need one computer. You can drive many TVs because all you need is a USB key with the content for each. I bet you other manufacturers do something similar. This is and thanks to the chat room for that tip, by the way. LG EZ Sign TV. It's specifically designed for digital signage. Sonoma Academy uses this? Yeah. They got one in the office. That's right. My kid's high school. Eli is a student there. Has in the front office. They have a TV on the wall that shows what's going on. Huh? I bet it is. There you go. So schools use this too. Thanks to the chat room for that suggestion. That's a very good suggestion. Makes it very easy. And because it's not as full featured as a TV, you don't have to put a TV tuner in it. None of the smart apps. You don't have to put anything in it. It's just a display. This is good. This is what we should get. Harold in Greenville, South Carolina. Next, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Harold.
Hi, Leo. Got a question to ask you.
Okay.
Every morning or every afternoon when I fire up my laptop, I keep getting you got to upgrade your flash drive or your Adobe Flash player.
Yeah, you should do that, by the way, because Flash has all sorts of security issues, and if you don't update it, you're vulnerable.
Okay, but every single day?
Well, you haven't updated it.
I have.
Okay, so here's the deal. Close all your browsers first. So what's happened is, you're updating it. You probably have 18 copies of Flash in your download directory. But what's happening is it's not updating because a browser is open. So what you need to do is, before you run the updater, close all the programs. Close everything you got. The updater is just a piece of junk. Close all the programs. rerun the update. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So this Flash update issue is a long time issue. I see the same thing on my systems, and it's because the update didn't take for one reason or another. It is very important to do the update. There are critical updates all the time. March 6th, Adobe rushes out critical Flash update. Normally they do updates of Flash on the second Tuesday of the month. The fix is for a critical flaw in Flash that could cause a crash and potentially allow an attacker to take control of the system. I mean, Flash is just full of bugs, full of holes, very unreliable. So part of the reason you keep seeing that is because, yes, they do update it monthly, maybe sometimes even more than monthly. But part of it is because the update has to be done for each browser that you use. One of the reasons I like Google's Chrome is because it now comes with Flash as part of the install and automatically updates Flash without warning you. It updates itself without saying anything. It's just always up to date. So it's my favorite browser for that reason alone. It always keeps itself up to date. But for other browsers, you need to make sure you have administrative privileges. You close the browsers and you update them. You may have to update it independently for each browser. There is, if you download a standalone Flash updater, I think that's the easiest way to do it. What is the address for the standalone? Is it get.adobe.com/Flash Player? I guess if you Google Get Flash or something like that, you'll get this standalone updater. And you'll see it says what browsers it works on. It says what platform. If you download that, as opposed to using the in-browser update, you download that, close all your browsers, log in as administrator, and then run that update. You shouldn't see that update warning anymore. That'll get rid of it. Unless there's something even more seriously wrong. But this is not uncommon. Everything has to be closed. Here's a link to Installation Problems, Flash Player, Windows. If Flash Player installed on your computer, the following box displays the version of Flash Player in your operating system. If it's not installed, an error message is displayed. So this is actually a good link. We'll put this in the chat, or rather the show notes. It's already in the chat room. So what you want to do is go to techguylabs.com. Look at this episode, 859, and we'll have a link into this. It's too long for me to tell you on the air. This help document from Adobe that will tell you what version of Flash you have, whether it's up to date, what steps to correct the install, verify your computer meets the system requirements, determine whether an older Flash player is already installed, download and install the latest Flash player, verify the installation is complete. This is so stupid. Of course, that's what you do. But anyway, there may be some additional help steps like disabling security that might be blocking it, that kind of thing. So we'll put that link in the show notes. In fact, every time I talk about something, there's a link in the show notes usually, thanks to our friend James DeRuvo, who's writing everything down as I speak. TechGuyLabs.com. Hope that helps for you. Thanks for the call, Harold. Steve in West Virginia is next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Leo. Good to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you.
Hey, I need to ask a question. I guess I'm an Apple geek. I got an iPod Touch, I got an iPhone, and I bought the new iPad.
Well, you are an Apple. You don't have a Mac though, huh?
No, I don't have a Mac.
Oh well, Apple still hasn't got its hooks into you 100%.
That's right. My question I have is a big question for me. I had the iPad 2, and I took it back because I knew the new one was coming out. I've got the new iPad.
Yeah.
I've played around with it. I've done everything. I'm not really impressed with it, and I was just wondering. I was going to get your opinion.
What is it about it that you don't like?
I don't know. I've got the iPad Touch, and it's just like I can do everything on my iPad Touch that I can do there. I mean, unless I'm not.
Well, it's just a big screen iPod Touch. You're right.
Yeah.
But when it gets to be a big screen, there is more you can do with a big screen than you could do with a little screen. I mean, you see more. Book reading is easier. Watching movies is more fun. I am a big fan of the new iPad. I love the new iPad. I love the new screen. I think it's a great camera, much better than in your iPod Touch. But truthfully, it's $500 at least. And if you don't need it and don't want it, then don't let me talk you into it.
Well, no. The question I have is should I take it back and just get the 2? And is there that much difference between the iPad 2 and the new?
Yes, there's a huge difference. The question is it worth $100? Because that's how much less the iPad 2 is than the new iPad. It's $100 less. So here's what you get. Here's what that $100 gets you. It gets you a much faster system. This has a new graphics processor chip in it that is about 4 times faster. It's got a much higher resolution screen. It's actually 4 times more dots on the screen than on the iPad 2. And it's got a usable camera. Now, you may say, well, I'm never going to use a camera. That thing is just clunky. And if that's the case, maybe the camera doesn't make a difference. Although, I have to say, as a video camera, given the software that's on this thing, I think this is going to be how I shoot video from now on. So for me, it's absolutely worth the $100 differential. Absolutely. Oh, and I didn't mention LTE. Now, of course, you may not have LTE where you are, so that wouldn't make a whole lot of difference.
Well, I got just the Wi-Fi one only.
Yeah, so then the LTE is not much. But yeah, so it's $100 difference. I think it's worth $100, but that's just me. You know, it's your money, Steve, and I certainly wouldn't talk you out of it.
Well, no, you're not talking me out of it. I just wanted to get your opinion of whether or not, if there's that much difference in the 2 and the new one that I should take it back.
Well, that's the difference. I think I would stay with the 2. I think you'll see a difference, yes.
Well, I'm an amateur photographer, so...
Oh, well, that's a good reason. Your pictures will look so good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not just the pictures you take with the iPad 2, but the pictures you take with everything else. You put them on the iPad 2, and when you're showing them to friends and family, they're just going to look so much better.
Well, I'm having a little difficulty playing around with the iPhoto app and the iMovie app. I don't know if I'm not doing something right or something.
Well, it's I admit that learning curve on these is a little higher than one might like. It's not as obvious. On the iPhoto, if you press the question mark, there's this was a great tip somebody told me. iPhoto is kind of a little bit unintuitive. It's got a lot of buttons and stuff, but there's a question mark in the top of the screen, a little circle with a question mark. If you tap that, it puts little call-outs, little tooltips on all the buttons that tell you what they do. That helped me a lot in figuring out what I could do with this. I have to say, I think that this is, but I drank the Kool-Aid. Remember now.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to, I certainly don't want to talk you out of what your experience has been, because everybody has their own experience of it. But is it worth $100? Absolutely. Just the screen alone makes it worth more to me. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. We're talking high tech. 8888 Ask Leo. The Gizwiz coming up at 47 after the hour with his gadget of the week. Let's say hi to Mark in Grand Rapids, Michigan, our next call. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I am well. How are you?
Very well. Thank you, sir. Hey, I just finally replaced my 7 or 8 year old router at home, a wireless router.
Mm-hmm.
Put a Cisco Linksys E1200 in, low end, no USB port or anything like that. It hooked up just fine. Then when I started to check the configuration, I noticed that it's also broadcasting an SSID, which is my home network name dash guest. So it automatically set up a guest network.
Right.
Now, should I leave that there? Is it safe? Is that firewalled from my home network?
It is, and that's exactly the point of it. Is because normally if somebody comes over to your house and they say, "Can I use your Wi-Fi?" You say yes. You give them the password. Now they're logged onto your network and they can see everything going on in your network. So a number of routers now offer this kind of guest login, which has a couple of advantages. One, it has a separate password. And two, it's kind of separated from the main network, so they can't use your guest network to get into your systems. It is. You can disable it in the settings. But if you have people come over a lot and ask for your Wi-Fi, it's not a bad idea. It's not, necessary unless you do. I turn my my Apple Airport Extreme has the same feature, and I turned it off because I never have any visitors. I'm very lonely. So yeah, I don't need it. but if you do, it's not a bad thing. Now there is something you should be aware of, and it's this WPS. You probably noted that there's a I can't remember if it's a 6 or I think it's an 8-digit PIN number on the back of your router, and that makes it easier to configure. Unfortunately, WPS has been hacked, and that WPS is a vulnerability on the router. You said you have the E1200?
Correct.
Unfortunately, Cisco routers. You can disable the WPS, but it actually doesn't. It just kind of doesn't. So, yeah. So what I would suggest is check and get the latest firmware for that router. I'm sure you did that anyway, but it's always a good idea when you get a new router to check and make sure you get the latest firmware. And
they just hooked it up.
Yeah, it's brand new. So that's the first thing I would do is go out and get that. And let me see. I'm looking at the WPS vulnerability update status for Linksys devices. This was such a real screw-up on the part of Cisco. They didn't... Yes, there is an update. So definitely update your E1200. And then once you do... And, you'll see that in the advanced section of your... there's a firmware update. You download the file. It reboots the router after applying the firmware update. Disable WPS, because that is a vulnerability. Many people who have Cisco Linksys routers cannot disable this. There's a checkbox. It disables it, but it doesn't actually do anything. So they're vulnerable.
Okay. Is that the thing where you push the button on the router and for 2 minutes you can connect to it?
Yep. Okay. Turns out it was so poorly implemented that it's a major security vulnerability. Even if you have a strong password and you're using WPA, which I'm sure you are, yes, they can get around it using the WPS.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good information. Yeah. When I saw the instructions for doing that, pushing the button, and for 2 minutes, the router's available for connection.
Oh, so cool. It's if it were implemented properly, and in fact, it's easy to implement, and I'm sure Linksys will at some point fix the firmware so that it's properly implemented. It's not a Linksys problem, by the way. Many other routers have this problem. If you have a router with WPS, and you'll know because you'll have an 8-digit number on the back of the router, or you'll have that button that says automatically set it up, disable it. And if you have a Linksys router, there's a knowledge base article. I'll put a link in the show notes to this knowledge base article at the Cisco site. It's number 25154 that says which routers have been fixed. The problem is that the Linksys routers have a disabled WPS setting, but it doesn't do anything. So you got to update the firmware on your E1200. And the E1200, the E1500, and the 1550 all have updates. Some of them do not. Like the E1000 does not have an update yet. The 2000 does not have an update yet. The 3000 does not have an update yet. Those routers are essentially insecure.
No.
Not necessarily something to be terrified about. I mean, I wouldn't presume that people are driving around trying to crack into routers, but they could.
I can see 10 other wireless networks.
Oh, well, see, you might have a neighbor that's cheap that says, "Gosh, if I could just hack Mark's router, I wouldn't have to buy internet access. I just use his."
The hackers will go for them.
Yeah. So do get the latest firmware, Mark, that, and then turn off WPS. Turn on WPA2. Give it a strong password. That's all you need to do. If you want to turn off that guest ID, you can, but you don't have to. That's not a security flaw.
Okay, great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Mark. Thanks for calling. Yeah, isn't that a terrible thing? It's kind of almost shocking, to be honest. Steve on the line from Torrance, California. Hi, Steve. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great.
That's good. Hey, I love your show. It's way over my head. But I have a...
You don't mind that, huh?
I don't understand anything you're talking about. But I have rabbit ears that plug into the wall, and they have a little directional knob on top.
Right.
And it's horrible reception. I mean, I don't get all the stations.
Yeah.
Give me a reference on what I should do. Should I get an outdoor antenna, or is there an indoor antenna that you would recommend?
There are both. It depends on how close you are to the channels and so forth. But here's what I'm going to send you. It's a website, antennaweb.org, not .com, but .org. Antennaweb.org. Maximize your television reception. It has everything you need to know. You can even enter in your zip code, and it'll tell you what works best in your area. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
No live read this break.
Hey! It's science! Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He blinded me with science and very strong coffee. 8888 Ask Leo. I don't know why I'm giving out the phone number. I think we only have time for one or two more calls because before we do anything else, we've got to say hello to this fella right here. He's sitting right behind me. Snuck up on me. Mr. Dick T. Bartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing?
You are sneaky. I looked over my shoulder, and there you were.
Way, wash your collar, will you?
Ring around the collar.
Yeah,
hey, I don't see those ads.
That.
Remember those ads? I don't see those anymore.
Oh, I do. Ring around the collar. Yeah.
But did they still sell that product? What was it? Shout? Something like that.
Or all. I don't know. Chat room will know. Whisk.
Whisk. That's right. Do they still even sell it?
I think Whisk is still about.
All right. See, I don't know. I don't do my own laundry. So Dickie D has always been a great source of strange and wonderful gadgets. What, my friend, do you have for us today?
Well, we talked about it last week on the weekly Daily Giz Wiz, and the sale on it. Oh yeah, Whisk. That's my gadget of the day.
Whisk.
The sale lasts for one more week, so I'm going to talk about it here because I think people will be interested in the AOC
USB
portable 16-inch monitor.
Portable. Oh, this is the monitor that plugs into your USB port.
Right, and it's designed for laptops. I'm using mine with my desktop. But what's neat about it, one single cable provides both the power and the video to the monitor. Last week, it had just gone on sale, and the only place we could find it for $99 was Amazon. But today I looked earlier, and now Tiger Direct, Best Buy, everybody has it for one more week. The sale ends at the end of the month. It's $99. So you get a 16 by 9-inch LED monitor. Resolution's pretty good, 1366 by 786. You download the software. A little CD-ROM comes with it. It uses DisplayLink, the DL125 chip, which is in a device we talked about a couple weeks ago. The stand, you can either use it landscape or portrait. And it's pretty nifty. No buttons on it. Everything is controlled from your main computer. And it's a black piano finish. So it looks really slick because there are no buttons or anything.
Now, is there a separate power plug, or does it draw all of the power from?
Nothing. Everything comes through the single USB cable.
Gosh, it's hard to believe there's enough juice on the USB to drive that monitor.
Well, you know what? I actually was driving it through a hub, and then I was feeling the hub, and the hub was kind of warm. So I figured, I'm going to give this USB cable a break and plug it directly into a USB on my tower itself.
And it still works.
Yep, it still works. Yeah, $99.99 until the end of March, which is next Saturday.
Now, you have to run some special software that it comes with it, right?
The software comes with it, or you can even go to their website, I'm sure, and download it. And then there'll be a little icon on your system tray. Pop up the icon. The icon will bring down a drop-down menu. You can either use duplicate, so you can have exactly what's on the laptop. You probably don't want that. Or you can do extend right or extend left. And
that's what I would want, because maybe put Twitter there or Facebook.
Well, I put my drop cam. I extend my drop cam.
You watch your boat that way.
I watch my boat that way, and then on Saturdays I put the Disneyland drop cam up on there. So if I have guests, they can see sitting behind me if
cool.
they're on camera or not.
It's 1366 by 786, so it's pretty, it's decent resolution. It's only 16 inches, but for a second display, I think, for Twitter, like I said, for Twitter or something that you were monitoring, the chat would be great for the chat room. I could just keep the chat room running on it all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's AOC, and if you want the model number, E1649FWU, and everything's on my website. Just click on Tech Guy Lab.
The Dick's site is GIZWIZ.biz. And there's lots of other stuff on there, but there's a big button that says the GizWiz visits the tech guy.
Yes.
That was the day that I was in prison.
And he does, too.
Yes. And then right there on the front, there's a link to the 16-inch monitor. That's a pretty good... I'm just thinking I could find some uses for that.
I'm amazed. You can hook up, I think, up to 6 of them. I'm amazed you don't have use for 6 of them.
Yeah. You could hook 6 up? Oh, I guess it depends on how many USB ports you have.
Yeah, exactly.
While you're there, make sure you play his game, the What the Heck Is It game, for a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. All you have to do is take a look at this strange gadget.
It's a monitor with no screen.
No screen monitor. Or I thought...
The no screen monitor.
I thought it was a knuckle duster for people who are really weak.
Oh,
yeah, since you couldn't lift a brass knuckles, so they've got little lightweight plastic knuckles.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Yeah, anything like that can win. We like stupid.
Yeah. There's 12 Mad Magazines for the right answer, but 24 for the wrong answer. There you go. We like stupid. It's Dick's motto right there.
Yeah, that's
all right.
It.
Dick, now sticker. We like stupid. Not I'm with stupid. We like it. Dick, stick around because we're going to do our podcast, the weekly daily GizWiz, our gadget show, right after the radio show ends. And I'll just I want to save the dime, and I don't want to have to make another call, so I'll just leave you right there.
I'll sit quietly in the corner.
Sit quietly. Do not sneak up on me again. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number, and that's the number Joel in Corona, California called. Our next call of the day. Hi, Joel. Joel, are you there? Hello, Joel. Corona, California. Okay. Ryan in Long Beach, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Ryan?
I'm not too bad. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I have new internet service as of like a month and a half ago, and I have a wireless modem, and my service has not worked once since I've had it.
Gee, that's not a good deal.
I know, right? I had a tech come out like 3 times. They replaced the modem one time, and they told me something like, the signal wasn't hitting the target correctly in the target range for my reception or whatever.
What kind of, first of all, what company?
It's Comcast.
So it's a cable modem.
It should be a wireless modem. It might be Comcast or Charter. I always get those mixed up.
But it's it's connecting to something on the wall, right?
Yeah, it's connecting to something on the wall and then broadcasting wirelessly to my
Have you been
laptop.
able to get wired? In other words, if you connect the laptop with an Ethernet cable to the Comcast router, does that work?
No, neither. And in fact, they came in and they used like their own laptop, and their own laptop picked up my signal perfectly. And when I look at my laptop, the signal's coming through fine, but when I try to launch a web page, it just keeps running and running the page, and then it says session timed out.
Yeah, something's wrong, obviously. Were they able to surf on their laptop? Were they able to surf on their laptop?
Yeah, and I thought it might be my laptop, so I took my laptop to like a coffee shop, and I ran the internet just fine. It was really fast.
So is this company, whoever it is, are they saying, well, it's your fault because it works fine with our computer?
Yeah, basically.
So you're paying for it?
Yeah, I mean, they've rebated me a little bit, but
can you get a friend to come over? This is the other test. Get somebody with another computer to come over and try it.
Yeah, totally. I also have a wireless router that I have, a Linksys router, and I'm thinking of using that and seeing if that helps. But I mean, with the wireless modem, I shouldn't have to use that, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure what's wrong, but it doesn't sound like it's the Comcast thing. It sounds like it's something your computer is messed up. So here's the first thing to do: get somebody else to try it. Get somebody with a laptop. If you see somebody walk by with a laptop, say, "Hey, buddy, come in here. See if this works. Because you need to see if it works on somebody else's laptop. Comcast said it worked on theirs, but I want to see somebody walk in off the street and have it work. If it is, then it is something weird about your laptop and how it's configured. It's the network configurations, the security software. There's something going on in your laptop, but I don't know what.
Yeah, and I've checked it all out too. I've checked like the firewall. I've checked like to make sure that all my passwords for the system are right and everything, and there's no weird like parental things going on, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to go through this process using ping and other tools, command line tools in Windows that you can see. For instance, let me just I'll give you one thing that you can do really quickly and see if this helps. It may be there's something wrong with the DNS. So let's ping Yahoo. So what you're going to do is ping 98.139.183.24. See if you can see that. If you can, then it's the DNS. I don't have time to finish this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.